This is RTV6 News at 11, working for you.
Thanks for joining us here at 11 o'clock. I'm Nicole Griffin. Keep our community safe. That is the call from the north side tonight, where one man is taking a stand for his neighbors to try to prevent tragedy. RTV6 reporter Graham Hunter has this story tonight from Ditch Road and 96th Street.
We've lived in this community for 11 years.
Brian Phillips only wants what's best for the safety of his neighbors.
My concern is that someone's going to end up getting hurt.
Phillips lives just off Ditch Road, south of 96th Street. There's a roundabout at that intersection.
When they come off that roundabout, they go really quick. When they come off the bridge, they go really fast, and it's difficult for us to get in and out of the neighborhood safely.
The bridge on Ditch Road over 465 is under construction, but before that started,
under normal conditions during rush hour, the traffic is stopped, backed up, going over the hill, going north, and it's just nonstop coming off the roundabout there.
Phillips is already anticipating that will pick up again once the project is completed later this year.
My concern is when we finish this bridge enlargement and expansion program, that the people coming around the roundabout will be going faster than they ever have before.
And he worries the worst could happen.
Someone's going to get hurt. There's going to be an accident, whether it's a kid on a bicycle, whether it's an adult with her children trying to get to daycare.
So I asked Mr. Phillips what he would like to see happen on Ditch Road.
So I'm thinking like maybe a speed table. The cars have to drive up on it and drive down. Something to force people to slow down.
I reached out to the Indianapolis Department of Public Works to see if they had any advice for how Phillips and his neighbors could get traffic calming measures installed. A spokeswoman advised us to reach out to IMPD instead.
I just hope something gets done.
I shared Phillips' concerns with IMPD, and a spokesman said the area would be added for extra patrols by the department's traffic branch.
We just want people to know that I'm concerned. We're concerned about it.
Working for you from the north side, Graham Hunter, RTV6.
All right, Graham, thank you. Well, weekend drivers already know what weekday commuters will learn tomorrow. Much of I-465 in Indianapolis is no place to be, and I-70 is also no picnic. Southbound and westbound lanes of 465 are completely closed for construction between I-65 on the south side and I-70 on the east side. The shutdown began Friday night and will continue for 2 weeks. Lanes in the other direction have already gone through their rehab and are open once again. And construction is now underway on I-70 east of Indianapolis between Mount Comfort Road and the Ohio state line. Work will be done 7 days a week in the 10-mile stretches at a time. The first 10-mile section of I-70 to close is eastbound between Mount Comfort and State Road 9 in Greenfield. Lane restrictions will last through November, but one lane will be open in each direction at all times during construction. There were plenty of unknowns heading into the Colts' first game of the regular season. Some of those questions got answered, but not before a wild finish to their Week 1 matchup. Here's our Brad Brown with a recap of today's game in Los Angeles.
The first start of the new season for Jacoby Brissett as the Colts quarterback. A bit of a slow start led to a 7-0 lead for the Chargers, but early in the second, Brissett found T.Y. Hilton for their first scoring connection. That would be the only points of the first half for the Colts, though, as they fell behind 17-6. A huge bright spot for the Colts on Sunday was running back Marlon Mack. He put together 174 yards on the ground, one of the biggest showings by a Colts back in a couple decades. A 63-yard touchdown run in the third quarter was his longest. It got the Colts within 8 heading to the fourth quarter. It took until the final minute for the Colts to even things up. Another Brissett to Hilton touchdown. This time T.Y. doing a fantastic run after the catch, and with 38 seconds to go, suddenly the Colts were down by just 2. They go to Mack again for his most important run of the day, a 2-point conversion that tied the game at 24 and would eventually get the game into overtime. The Chargers won the coin toss, and the Indy defense was not able to hunker down for a stop. It finished with Austin Eckler's third touchdown score of the game, this one locking up a 30-24 Chargers win. The Colts gave up 435 yards in the loss, but surely a couple of positives to take away from Week 1.
Yeah, I mean, I thought Jacoby played really, really well. I mean, I can't remember too many mistakes that he made, quite honestly. I can't remember that many incompletions. I didn't look at his stat line, so I don't know. But he played well, even more so than that. He was in complete control. He was poised.
You know, the things that we know that we did to ourselves to put us in that situation. Towards the end, we cleaned a lot of that up, and you saw the results. We were playing good on defense, we're playing good on special teams and on offense, and the results were, it was nothing that they did, it was all us.
Just overall offensive game plan, man. We just keep doing what we was doing. Look ourselves in the mirror and go out there and run the ball. O-line created such big holes for me. I got to the second level and just had to do my job from there.
The Colts play their first division game of the season next week when they go to Tennessee. Brad Brown, RTV6 Sports.
Thank you, Brad. We are rounding out a pretty comfortable stretch of weather here. Our 5th day in a row with those high temperatures in the 70s. I think we're going to break that streak tomorrow as things are going to start to heat up. But tonight, still pretty comfortable. 69 degrees for us right now. A little bit of an east breeze between 5 and 10 miles per hour. And that dew point's in the lower 60s. So we don't have a lot of humidity in the air. But again, that's going to change too. Temperatures around central Indiana, lower 60s in Tipton at 61. Close to the 50s already in Peru and upper 60s in Bloomington. We had that cloud deck throughout the afternoon. It's starting to break apart a little bit here, and you notice some showers off to the north. That will be staying out of central Indiana and not going to need the umbrella as you head out the door in the morning with comfortable temperatures there starting off in the lower 60s. We'll talk about the heat coming our way in just a few minutes.
Kyle, thank you. Shots rang out at a northeast side bar just before closing time, and tonight 3 people are injured. Metro Police say it happened outside of Kip's Pub around 2:30 this morning. The bar is located at the corner of 96th and Allisonville Road. Police found all 3 shooting victims in the parking lot outside. The shooting left behind bullet holes and shattered glass on the window of the bar. One of the victims is critically injured, but police say that person is expected to survive. Investigators believe they know who the suspect is in this case, but they are still sorting out all the details, including what led up to the shooting. A Hendricks County man charged with killing a 4-year-old boy is set to stand trial starting tomorrow. Michael Atkinson of Danville is charged with murder, neglect of a dependent resulting in death, and aggravated battery. The victim was the 4-year-old son of Atkinson's girlfriend, who was not charged in the case. Danville police officers were called to a home in November of 2017 to assist the Danville Fire Department with an unconscious child. The child was rushed to Riley Hospital for Children but died 2 days later. The coroner said the boy's injuries were caused by blunt force trauma. President Trump took to Twitter this weekend, revealing that he canceled planned secret talks with the Taliban and the Afghan president that were supposed to take place today at Camp David. Here's ABC's David Wright with all the details.
In a surprise series of tweets Saturday evening, President Trump said he called off a secret meeting with the Taliban at Camp David that could have potentially led to an end of the 18-year war in Afghanistan, writing, "Unbeknownst to almost everyone, the major Taliban leaders and, separately, the president of Afghanistan were going to secretly meet with me at Camp David on Sunday." The president said he canceled the event after the September 5th attack in Kabul that killed 12 people, including a U.S. service member, an attack the Taliban took credit for. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo said after that attack, the president decided he won't work with someone who can't deliver on their commitments.
A deal, an agreement is just a piece of paper, and we have to actually see that change in behavior.
The Afghan government insists it wants an end to this meaningless, senseless war with the Taliban.
We think that there was an opportunity for the Taliban to embrace a political life. They failed to do so, and they continued violence.
The Taliban released their own statement saying, as the President of the United States has announced suspension of negotiations with the Islamic Emirate, this will harm America more than anyone else.
We will conduct a mission in Afghanistan in a way that reduces risk to the American people.
It's unclear how this breakdown in the peace talks will affect the president's promise to draw down troop numbers in Afghanistan. Meanwhile, one official in Kabul told us the level of violence already on the rise there is now likely to increase dramatically. David Wright, ABC News, the White House.
David, thank you. The Brickyard 400 weekend has come to an end. Last night, several artists, including the band Florida Georgia Line, performed for a packed crowd at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway for the FGL Fest. While in town, the band gave IMPD a big donation. IMPD tweeted out this photo thanking the band for their newest canine partner. IMPD says they believe the new canine will be a bomb detection dog. Brian Kelly, one part of the duo, met the dog last year when he was just 10 months old. old and named him Sarge. He and his wife wanted to adopt Sarge, but they soon realized he had special talents and would be a strong police dog. Kelly and his wife say they are so excited that Sarge will live a life of keeping people and his officers safe. Being able to give back is something in our hearts, and last night in Indy was a moment we won't forget. And also coming up in 10 minutes, we'll have a recap of today's Brickyard 400. Next weekend, athletes looking to take home the state title in several Special Olympics events will be back competing in Indianapolis. Today, the competitions got started, and we caught up with athletes at Brebeuf Jesuit Preparatory Academy, where more than 1,800 competed. There were cornhole, volleyball, flag football, and also distance running and walking events. In all, 3,500 competitors are taking part in 8 different sports over the next 3 weekends. More than 500 students volunteered from Brebeuf to make this all possible today. The athletes do come from all across the state with the goal of taking home those titles.
I love Special Olympics so much because it gives me the chance to make new friends, and it gives me the chance to play sports, which I never got to play in high school.
We certainly are competitive. Our athletes are competitive. We keep score. We want to determine who are the state champions. But at the end of the day, we're just enjoying each other's company and just coming together as a big family just to celebrate Special Olympics and what we're all about.
This year marks the 50-year anniversary of the Special Olympics in Indiana. Leaders say a record number of athletes is exciting, knowing they are connecting them with opportunities and experiences they otherwise would not have. A high school is seeking more transparency when it comes to what students are doing in the bathrooms. We'll tell you why officials think it's a necessary move and why some parents say it's a bold invasion of privacy. Hurricane Dorian did its worst in the Bahamas. Now comes the cleanup and recovery. But this could be a daunting task on many levels. We'll explain.
Today, who's your lottery? Imagine that. This is RTV6 News at 11, working for you.
An Alabama high school has taken the step of removing the stall doors in some of the boys' bathrooms, all to keep kids from vaping. The principal at Wilson High School in Florence, Alabama, says every day one of the students will sneak off to the bathroom to vape. And he says 2 weeks ago, a student was found passed out in a stall. Some parents are taking issue with the school's solution. One says it's too drastic.
Me as a parent personally, I think that's a little excessive.
I don't like it. They take their only private place in the school that they can do their business.
The parents said a better solution would be to have an adult in the hallway or bathroom to make sure that no one is vaping. The principal says the door removals could be temporary as they work to figure out other solutions. As you know, vaping has been a topic of much debate recently. The CDC says 5 states, including Indiana, have recorded at least 1 death from lung disease linked to vaping. And there are at least 450 possible cases across 33 states of severe illness. Many health departments are urging people to stop vaping until they learn more about what's causing these illnesses and deaths. Thousands of Bahamians are now evacuating after Hurricane Dorian devastated the Abacos and Grand Bahama. Here's ABC's Mona Kosar Abdi with the very latest.
The devastating damage on the Abacos Islands has many residents looking to evacuate.
This boat is here to take you to Nassau, okay?
Senior Lieutenant William Stirrup of the Royal Bahamian Defense Force helping lead the efforts.
We can't keep this baby in the sun.
Making sure this woman and her children made it safely onto one of the boats.
I said, Lord, today has to be the day for me to get on this boat with these children. They cannot stay here.
250 Abacos residents greeted by family and friends as they arrived in Nassau.
A lot of people died, and I thought I was going to be one of them. And we just started praying and everything, and then we survived.
Officials assuring everyone Nassau has ample room for evacuees through various shelter programs. Others looking for safe haven heading to the U.S. A cruise ship bringing more than 1,000 Bahamians to Palm Beach, Florida. Those staying behind on the Abacos are now waiting for food and supplies, but distribution poses a challenge.
We are exploring every option via helicopter, via boat, to bring constant and relief to those areas.
And while water in many areas is unsafe for consumption or hygiene, every effort is being made to prevent the spread of disease.
Potable water is being provided. We have the people on the ground right now
to make sure that this disaster doesn't lead to another greater public health disaster.
Still traumatized by Dorian, many residents doing what they can, clearing roads and rationing fuel until the islands get back to normal.
I'm still actually telling myself, you're going to wake up and it's all a dream.
But realizing normal is likely years away. Mona Kosar Abdi, ABC News, Washington.
And here at home, not quite fall yet. It is still officially summer, and it's going to feel like it this week.
Yes, it is. We got a couple of weeks before fall officially arrives, and yeah, we're kind of throwing those temperatures up a few degrees here. We're going to talk about numbers around 90 as we get through the 7-day planning forecast. Out there tonight, things are pretty comfortable, though. You can still see the checkered flag flying there on top of the One America building, and that's fitting after today's Brickyard 400. We've got our temperature in the upper 60s, close to 70 in downtown, but check out Kokomo. You've already fallen back into the upper 50s. It's 67 for you right now in Bloomington, and temperatures as we go through tonight will slide back through the 60s. Most of us will land in the lower 60s first thing in the morning, but as mentioned, we may see a couple of those spots getting into the 50s. 67 though in Lafayette, 66 degrees in the Greenwood area. Here's a look at TrueCast for you, and we are going to hold on to some of that cloud cover that's out there tonight into the morning, but any rain showers staying off to our north and west. And as we go through the day here, we are going to start to increase our sunshine a little bit. So the clouds will begin to break apart. And as we go into the afternoon, really a pretty nice finish to our Monday here. So as we take you hour by hour through the forecast, there's the cloudy skies that we're going to have. As we get mid to late morning, we start to see a little more of that sunshine, and temperatures will warm up as a result. 73 degrees at 11 o'clock. We'll get into the upper 70s at 1 and back into the 80s after this stretch of several days in a row of 70-degree warmth. We'll get a little closer to that average. Average high is in the lower 80s, 82 for that afternoon temperature with increasing sunshine here. And your Monday really looking pretty nice. A little toasty, actually, as we get to Columbus and Bloomington at 85. A little bit cooler, though, Peru and Kokomo coming in at about 80 degrees. But that's only the beginning. Here we go into that 90-degree heat. Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. Highs all right around 90. Not necessarily into record territory, though. Throughout that period, the records are in the middle 90s, but there's the average as we get into Tuesday, just 80 degrees. With the warmth, it will be a nice time to get out there and get the car washed, because it's also going to be a pretty dry stretch of weather for us. Maybe a spotty shower in our Wednesday forecast, but otherwise Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, expecting things to be pretty sunny and dry here as we heat things up. It's going to be a little more humid, so we got to talk about that heat index too in the 7-day planning forecast. After that comfortable high of 83 tomorrow, we'll get into the 90s on Tuesday. Heat index values that'll be lower to middle 90s here through Thursday afternoon. And then we get our best chance for rain over the next several days coming our way on Friday, but it's still a fairly low chance of some scattered showers and thunderstorms. It does, though, bring in some more refreshing air for next weekend.
Really nice and hot start to the week.
Yeah, it's going to be a little bit toasty, still needing those shorts for a while.
Definitely. All right. Thank you, Kyle. Race day at the Brickyard, NASCAR's final race of its regular season. Today in Indy. After the break, who's in, who's out, and who rolled into Victory Circle for a second time.
Restore Ashley Home Store. This is home.
The Speedway looking good for NASCAR's 26th running of the Brickyard 400. Qualifying earlier in the day put Kevin Harvick on pole. He led the field to the green flag, and everyone would be looking at the back end of Harvick's car for much of the day. Just past the halfway mark, two-time Indy winner Kyle Busch blew an engine. He'll be the points leader as NASCAR begins the playoffs next week, but today he was done much earlier than expected. Turn 2 turned out to be the trickiest part of the track. On lap 105, Jimmy Johnson got too low and into the grass. The 7-time Cup champion spinning into the wall. 25 laps later, it was Kyle Larson finding trouble in that same part of the track. Larson had led 5 laps earlier in the day, but this one put him out of contention. By the time it was all done, Harvick had dominated the afternoon, leading 118 of the 160 laps. It's his second career victory at Indy, the first coming back in 2003. The 16-year gap between visits to Victory Circle, the longest of any Indianapolis winner. It also gives Tony Stewart his second Brickyard win as a car owner.
this is a racetrack that, I feel like is just, just a super special place to just show up at, let alone drive a lap around. And to be able to have won a couple races here now is something that it makes me kind of pinch myself every time, because it's that special of a place. So to win the Brickyard is, no matter how you do it or when you do it, 16 years apart today or 16 years ago, I can probably tell you everything that happened on each weekend, because they're just that special when they happen.
I think we knew pretty early we had a real good chance of finishing this off. It was just a matter of whether they could stay up with the track changing and keep good track position.
Talk about playoff momentum. You feel that for this team right now?
Definitely feels good right now, at least today. So with this being the last race before the playoffs start and a crown jewel race on top of that, it's definitely a good way to start next week at Vegas.
What do they need to do in Vegas to kind of keep this thing going?
We just got to execute. I think this team's had speed. We just had moments where we couldn't execute and finish the deal. So it's just about making sure we don't overlook details and making sure we don't make mistakes.
NASCAR's playoffs start next weekend in Las Vegas. Ryan Newman earned the final of 16 spots to run for the season championship at the Speedway. Brad Brown, RTV6 Sports.
All right, Brad, thank you. The Fever played their final game of the season this afternoon, and it was a thrilling way to close it out. Kelsey Mitchell broke the team record for points in a game by scoring 38. She also broke the WNBA league record for three-pointers made in a game, hitting 9 of those. The Fever finished with a 104-76 win over Connecticut. The Fever announced this week they'll play the next 2 seasons at Hinkle Fieldhouse, while construction takes place at Bankers Life Fieldhouse downtown. We'll be right back after this break.
Find an advisor at northwesternmutual.com.
Education plays a huge role in landing a job, and a family in Muncie is telling parents to try enrolling their students in virtual school so they can get classroom to career ready. 15-year-old Alicia Gregory attends the K-12 Indiana Digital Learning School. All her materials are provided to her for free, and since it's a public school, there's no tuition. Students work on all core classes as well as a variety of electives. Students check in with teachers and go over everything they learn in class. Her sister put Alicia in virtual school after the loss of their mother and says this path has kept her education on track.
With her being in K-12, I feel like that's what's kept her great grades, is because she's able to focus.
I don't necessarily have best transportation to an actual public school, so being able to just bring my computer wherever I go, it definitely helps a lot more.
Alicia has determined she wants to be a pharmaceutical scientist and is planning to graduate early. Also, to help students socialize with others, they are invited to school outings and field trips. A new life for a new school year. A Denver teacher gave birth 2 weeks early on the sidewalk outside of her school building. 6th grade teacher Lindsay A. Bullock was leaving for the day when the labor pains began. Another teacher put down a sleeping bag and took pictures as the principal and the school's dean prepared to get really hands-on and help deliver the baby themselves. However, firefighters arrived in time to finish the job. Little Zara just couldn't wait to come into this world. Lindsay says she may have gotten a glimpse into her baby girl's future.
She was 8 pounds 6 ounces. She is currently sleeping. When she was ready, she just said, boom, I'm coming out. And I think it'll be indicative of her personality to come, that she will be a firecracker. She's going to do great things.
Zara and her mom are doing just fine. This is Lindsay's 2nd child and a head full of hair. What a cutie.
Yeah, glad to see it all worked out there. Over the next 7 days of our forecast, we got those temperatures going to heat up. 83 tomorrow, but then we're back to around 90 degrees Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday.
All right, Kyle, thank you, and thank you for joining us. Have a great night.